back to the show.
Nice to be back. Thank you.
It's always great to have you. And this is an interesting change of pace for you. For 5 seasons on Scandal, you played one of the scariest human beings we've ever come across on television, the charismatic and yet conniving Papa Pope.
Yes, who ended the series by saying that, telling a group of senators that, in fact, he was running the country.
Right.
Yes.
It was a terrifying, terrifying thought. And now you are on a new show, God Friended Me.
Yes.
Which is a really light, funny show that's just about people being good.
It's interesting. I purposely sort of wanted to find something that was directly opposite of what I'd been doing on Scandal. And
Right.
so now I play a pastor on God Friended Me. And the show itself is about the connectivity between people,
Right.
and the opportunity to help one another, not to hurt
Right.
one another.
And if I understand it correctly, I mean, I don't want to give any of the pieces away, but it's really a story about this guy who gets Facebook messages from
Yes,
God.
That's right. Well, no, not from God. He gets
Not from God.
Not from God. No, he gets Facebook messages from an account on Facebook called God that directs him actually to meet these people, these strangers, and go out and help them.
Right.
For no particular
but we don't
reason.
know who the account is.
And that's part of the show as well. Who is behind the God account?
Who's behind the God account? Got to pray and find out. That's what you got to find out. but what I do love about the story is it's a feel-good story about like people just, I guess, being incentivized to do good.
Yes.
It taps into the innate nature that we really do have as human beings
Yes.
to help other people.
I mean, instead of having sort of the crime of the week or the victim of the week, we
Right.
have friend suggestions of the week. And Miles, who's played by Brandon Hall, goes out and sort of meets these people and finds out what their problem is, and then very clearly tries to help them out.
What I love is your characters always seem to have so many more layers than you would initially think. Because you think, oh, you're playing a priest on the show, so it's going to be Mr. Perfect. The priest is going to be saying the nice things and everything's going well. But no, your character struggles with getting things right in his own life.
Absolutely. His son is an atheist, and his daughter is gay. So the beginning of the show was, how did that happen, and why
Right.
did that happen? What did I do wrong? And when then you find out his wife died, and he kind of retreated into the church and didn't really take care of his kids the way he might have or should have, and that's part of the conflict between
Right.
he and his children.
When you play characters like that, do you enjoy finding the nuance and the complications in
absolutely.
human beings? Because we like to think of people being good or bad. We like to think of seeing a story as like good or bad.
Right.
And then we find out it's nuanced, and a lot of the time our brains short circuit. But you seem to enjoy that.
I think because people aren't just one thing or the other,
Right.
right? I mean, all of us have whatever complications in our lives that we carry with us every single day. And so if an actor can bring that to the screen or to the stage or whatever, it makes it far more interesting to figure out who this guy is than to think, oh, he's good and he's bad.
Right. When you move from one character to the next, you bring, I mean, a residual feeling that the audience has about your previous character. Do you ever carry that piece in you? Is there like a piece of you that feels like Papa Pope?
No.
Do you feel like you could like...
I hope not.
You could end... But people treat you that way, don't they? In
Well,
some
yes,
spaces?
people will come up to me and they'll say, Papa Pope. Oh, I mean, can I call you Papa Pope? Is that okay? And yeah, that's fine. But for me as an actor, what I want to do is find something different. And so this
Yes.
guy is very complicated. He is the head of his church. He has thousands of people in his parish that he is trying to take care of. And
Right.
that in itself means that there's an ego involved, right?
Right.
You don't decide to become the leader of a congregation without sort of feeling like, you know, I want to be president or
Right,
something
you
like
have
that.
some sort of purpose
Yeah.
that drives you in that direction. The show itself, you have a priest, you have a Facebook account called God, but I don't know if I'm wrong in saying this, it didn't feel like a religious show. It wasn't
is
like
not.
It wasn't like Touched by an Angel, which I loved as a kid, but
Right.
I thought it would be the same thing. But it's just a show that has God in it and then a priest, but it's not a religious show.
It's not a religious show at all. I mean, it really is, again, about sort of the opportunities we have to help one another.
Right.
God is in the title because the account is called God.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I think there is a guy on Twitter who calls himself God.
Yes,
It's
yes,
pretty
yes,
funny.
yes.
But this account actually sets up the show. As I said, we have friend suggestions every
Right.
week, and what you do is you delve into the lives. It's in a way, there was a show years ago called The Millionaire, where this guy would show up and hand a check of $1 million to somebody, and the person was told, you cannot tell tell anyone where this check came from or what goes
Right.
on. Well, this is sort of that same idea. Only Miles shows up and he says, I'm here to help you. And people keep saying, why?
Why?
What is your investment? And he simply says, because I can.
Right. Let me ask you something. If you got a Facebook message from God and the message said, hey, Joe, I need you to go and meet someone and help them, what would you do?
I think my first response I probably wouldn't believe it. I would
Yes.
probably think which is what happened to Miles in our show.
But what if the account said, Joe, you're wearing green underwear right now?
I think then I'd get scared.
Right. Let me ask you this before I let you go. I honestly, I really call it an honor because I got to see you in a play about Dick Gregory.
Yes.
And it was such a powerful performance. I've seen you act for years on screen, but seeing you in person was truly one of the highlights of my life.
Oh, thank you.
What would you say are the biggest differences for yourself, and what do you enjoy moving between screen and stage?
Well, the stage is, I always say there's no take two. So when you're out there on the stage and let's say for whatever reason I go up on a line, meaning I forget a line, I have to figure it out on stage. Whereas if if there's a camera, you can say, oh, cut, take two, and you move on. The stage has far more challenges to it. You're dealing with a live audience who is watching you. You're dealing with other live actors.
Right.
So there's a reality that goes on the stage that you can't find anyplace else.
And you've been in the game for a long time. You know, when I was watching the play on Dick Gregory's life, one thing I appreciated was the journey he had been on. You know, the road that he had traveled through America's timeline with black people. And you saw change, you saw progress, but at the same time, you saw many of the themes repeated that we experience today.
Right.
You are one of the few actors who has been in Hollywood for a long time, working at different levels, grinding it out, experiencing success. As a black person in Hollywood, how do you grapple with the conundrum that is progress and yet at the same time still lots of change that needs to be made?
I think, you know, it's, we may have talked about this the last time I was here, it's kind of like half steps to the wall. Things will always get better, but you'll never actually reach perfection.
Right.
And in this business in particular, for instance, the Oscars are coming out and so people are talking about things like Green Book. And I was reading an article on the way in where Green Book was being compared to, let's say, Driving Miss Daisy. There is a kind of need in America to talk about racism in a very surface and safe sort of way.
Right.
The same year I think that Driving Miss Daisy came out, Spike Lee did Do the Right Thing.
Right.
And there are two very different movies who talk about the same subject. One, I think Do the Right Thing is really talking about the angst and all of the conflicts in a neighborhood like that, whereas Driving Miss Daisy is a very safe way of talking about literally the seat, the back seat and the front seat between black and white. And I think what Hollywood is attempting to do is try to tell the truth about racism in this country, but the problem basically is we don't know how to talk about it. We, the people, don't know how to talk about it. It's evident in what's just happened with the Native American man and this kid wearing a red hat.
Right.
And if it wasn't for one, the Native American man, I think America has all kinds of guilt about Native Americans. And
Rightfully
so suddenly,
so, right, yeah.
so this man is precious and something to be honored. And this kid, who's 16 years old, because he's wearing a red hat, we now have all kinds of beliefs about who he is and what he's doing that may or may not be true.
Right.
The same thing is true with black folks, right? So you see a black man walking down the street and suddenly you may think all kinds of things about that man simply because his skin is black. And we never talk about it that way. It's
Right.
we always talk about the excuse and not the fix. We always talk about the circumstance and not the guy who is, if someone were to call me there's that person that we could say, well, he's vile, but it's the person standing next to him who doesn't say anything and allows that to happen that actually is the most dangerous.
Wow. Always great having you on the show. Congratulations. God friended me as Sundays at 8 p.m. on CBS. Joe Morton, everybody.